Okay, so ready for another deep dive?
Always.
This time, we're diving into something incredible, the Islamic concept of paradise. And we're really zeroing in on those first moments, that very first glimpse a believer gets when they enter paradise.
Wow, yeah.
We've got some amazing texts to guide us, really vivid descriptions. So I'm curious, just thinking about it, if you could only experience paradise for the first time once, where do you think your attention would be drawn first?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Mm,
I think it's important to remember that in Islamic belief, paradise or Jannah, it's not just some physical place, it's so much bigger than that. It's the ultimate reward, this state of pure bliss you reach by living a life devoted to God's will. It's hard to even wrap our heads around it.
Absolutely. It's not just about arriving at a destination. It's like the culmination of a lifetime of faith, of striving to live right. It's profound.
Right.
One detail that really jumped out at me in these texts is how believers are always described as being led into paradise in groups, guided by angels. Why do you think that is? If this is about reaching such an incredible reward, wouldn't you think it would be more about individual reflection, savoring the moment at your own pace? Why emphasize togetherness so much?
That's a really interesting point, and I think it speaks volumes about the importance of community in Islamic teachings. Even in this incredible moment, this moment of unimaginable joy and reward, it's shared. It's like that saying that human connection, those bonds we build in this life, they don't disappear, they're cherished, even in the afterlife.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. It's not just about individual salvation. It's about sharing that awe and wonder with others.
Absolutely.
So we've got these groups approaching the gates of paradise, anticipation hanging in the air. What happens next? What's waiting for them beyond those gates? It's really incredible when you read these texts. They paint such a vivid picture of this first encounter with paradise.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost overwhelming, just trying to imagine it. What would you say are like some of the most striking sensory details?
Well, the texts often describe this amazing fragrance that kind of washes over you as you enter, this blend of musk and amber.
Oh, wow.
And they say it's like nothing on earth.
So it's not just about what you see, it's engaging all the senses right from the start.
Right.
Do you think that's purely for sensory pleasure, or could those scents have a deeper meaning within Islamic tradition?
That's a great question. I mean, you have to remember these texts are ultimately trying to describe a reality that's way beyond human comprehension, right?
Right.
So they use these familiar sensory experiences as a way to give you just a glimpse of the divine.
I see.
Like musk and amber, for example, those were super prized in many cultures, often linked with things like purity, luxury, even spirituality.
Oh, interesting.
So those scents might be hinting at something deeper, like not just pleasure, but, entering this sacred, elevated realm.
Yeah, it's like your senses themselves are being transformed, elevated to experience things on a whole new level.
Exactly.
And the texts don't stop at scents. You've got descriptions of rivers flowing with milk and honey, trees laden with fruit.
It's true. It's very evocative. And it's worth noting that each of these details is super carefully chosen, drawing on this rich tapestry of cultural and symbolic meanings.
I see. Like what?
Well, take rivers, for example, right?
Yeah.
They often represent abundance and life,
Yeah.
symbolizing that paradise is this place of unending sustenance and nourishment.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about the stuff flowing in those rivers? Milk, honey, wine. Weren't those incredibly significant in the culture at the time? Weren't they seen as symbols of abundance and delight?
Yeah, absolutely. These were seen as luxury items back then, representing not just physical satisfaction, but this deep sense of contentment and fulfillment. Paradise isn't just about getting your basic needs met. It's about experiencing the utmost pleasure and joy, but in a way that's still in line with, divine will.
So it's interesting because you said earlier that paradise is about more than just physical pleasure.
Right.
But these descriptions really seem to suggest that physical enjoyment, when it's experienced in this pure, divinely ordained way, that's part of the experience too.
Yeah, and that's a really important point. It's not about rejecting the goodness of creation. It's more about experiencing it in a way that's aligned with righteousness and gratitude. So it's about balance, a holistic vision of paradise that nourishes both the body and soul.
That makes a lot of sense. And, just when you think it can't get any grander, I remember coming across this detail in one of the texts. It totally blew my mind. It was talking about the vastness of paradise, and it said that the distance between each level of paradise is greater than the distance between heaven and earth.
Wow. It's a powerful image, isn't it? The texts go to great lengths to emphasize the sheer immensity of paradise. This isn't just a nice garden. It's a realm that dwarfs anything we can imagine in our earthly experience.
So we've got these incredible sights, the intoxicating sense, a sense of vastness that's almost impossible to grasp. I mean, it's almost overwhelming to think about what else could await in such a place.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that paradise isn't just about experiencing these wonders in isolation. The texts really highlight the social and spiritual dimensions of it all as well.
Yeah.
For example, there's this idea of encountering the Hur al-Ain.
The Hur al-Ain, right.
Yeah.
They're often described as companions of paradise.
Yes, exactly. And the texts emphasize their extraordinary beauty.
Yeah.
But it's so important to remember that their significance goes way beyond just physical appearance.
Yeah.
They represent something, like a kind of companionship that's different from anything we experience here on Earth.
Yeah, it really makes you think. In a place where it's said that every desire is fulfilled, what does true companionship even mean?
That is the question, isn't it? You see, the texts describe the Hur al-Ain as being creations of Allah, specifically designed to be perfect companions for the believers in paradise.
Okay.
They embody purity, devotion, and are said to bring immense joy and fulfillment to those they accompany.
So it's more about this deep connection, a sense of profound understanding and shared joy, not just physical attraction.
Exactly. You've got it.
But it's interesting because even though paradise is described as this state of complete fulfillment, this perfect contentment, the texts also talk about how the ultimate bliss comes from something else entirely, seeing the face of God.
It's true. And I think it's a really powerful reminder that even amidst all the wonders and delights of paradise, the ultimate desire of the human heart, at least as these texts describe it, is for something that goes beyond even the most perfect earthly experiences.
This yearning for connection with the divine, a connection so deep it surpasses every other joy.
Exactly. And it makes you realize that these descriptions of paradise, even though they're rooted in Islamic belief, they speak to a very human longing, you know?
Yeah.
This desire for peace, for fulfillment, for a connection that transcends the limits of our physical existence. I think we all feel that.
It's universal. It really makes you think. Regardless of your own personal beliefs, these texts offer a fascinating glimpse into what it means to imagine something beyond our own reality.
That's right.
And they push us to think about what truly matters, what really brings us peace and joy and connection, not just in some afterlife, but right here, right now.
I think that's a beautiful thought to end on.
So as we come up from this deep dive, this exploration of the Islamic concept of paradise, we're left with incredible images, powerful symbols, and a lot to think about.
Absolutely.
What brings you a sense of peace and fulfillment in this life? How can we cultivate those things, whether it's through what we do, our relationships, our pursuit of knowledge? It's definitely something to reflect on as we navigate our own journeys.
It is.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.